morning, Yankees fans. Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles, where fans become family. I'm Rob, and I'm here with Donald. No Uncle Tats today. He's taking care of some work business, so he'll be back with us hopefully on Wednesday. But a lot to dissect. The Yankees had a whole series. The Yankees won a series, so a nice bounce back after that dreadful Angel set. They had a blowout. They got blown out, and then we had an absolute nail biter in the series finale yesterday, the rubber match. I want to say good morning to everybody here in the chat. John the Beagle Dad, Joe, Gregory Wayne, Jones Seco, Jared joining us as well. So, let's just get right into it, Donald. How are we feeling this morning? Give us your overall thoughts about this series.
Pretty good. We got history between Judge and Soto, man. So Soto's now reached his 30th home run. Judge is now on 42. He's one home run short of 300, which is remarkable. So that's 72 home runs combined between two guys. And there's still 2 months left of the season. That pretty much says it all. I mean, what we're looking at is just historic. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge is the best combo I've ever seen. In my, 39 years being a Yankee fan, it's the best. It's the best 1-2 punch I've ever freaking seen. And I think it dates right back to Mantle and Maris. That's how good it is. It's truly astonishing. So we've got that. I'm not worried about the bats. I think the bats have proven that there's enough there that they could be very successful. But I'm very worried about the bullpen. Very worried about the bullpen. We don't have a closer. And we don't really have a setup. And it's the middle relief is by committee. There's a whole lot of things right now that's a little bit up in the air. Pitching rotation, I felt a little bit more comfortable because Stroman pitched better, but still, there's some questions there until we get Clark Schmidt back, but he won't be back until the end of August. So we still have to put up an Nestor Cortez between now and then, and that's always an adventure. So, yeah, there's still a lot of things to be concerned about, but we are lucky because, hey, we're tied for first, so that's a plus. So even though we've got only like the 15th best home record in the majors, certainly only like 7th or 8th best in the American League, but still, we're still tied for first. It's not bad. Considering our horrendous run over a 7-week stretch where it felt like we lost like 2/3 of every game, still tied for first. So there's a lot to be happy about. We've got the 2 best players in baseball, but there's still some worries there.
Yeah, and we'll circle to the starting rotation real quick. It was fine this series. Rodon looked really good. Cole probably had arguably his best start of the season, striking out 10. I will get into that pitch count stuff in a moment. And Stroman, like you said, he bounced back. He had to battle through it. He wasn't sharp by any means, but he was a lot better than what we saw in his previous start. And that's all we could really ask for, is for him to be better down the stretch, because we need to figure out who's going to be a Game 3 starter. Is it Luis Gil? What's his limit going to be? Is it Stroman? He's getting paid to be that guy, so we need Stroman to figure it out. Hopefully, as the season goes on, we get better results from Stroman to have us feeling more confident in him, and seeing some more people pop in here as we go along. Cold Italian Pizza popping in. Gabagool, good to see you. And Rich, Empire State of Baseball, good to see you. Good to see everybody here in the chat. And if you haven't subscribed and you want to join the chat along with these great people, please hit that sub button, and you can join us and everybody here in the chat talking some Yankees baseball. Good morning to my dad. He's here as well. So, let's talk about Garrett Cole, because this was a big start for him. He had 10 strikeouts. He had a pitch count of 90. Jonathan Tats is at work. But he went out there and threw 2 pitches in the 6th inning and got taken out. What was your thought going into that? Because I did not see a point of even letting him start the inning if you knew he only had 2 pitches left. If you were going to have him go out there, why not have him go pitch by pitch, batter by batter in that inning. Do you agree with me there, or would you have just took
Oh,
him
it's
out after
complete
five?
nonsense, Rob. It's complete nonsense. There's no logic to it. Anyone who tries to find logic in it will fail because there is no logic to that decision. The truth is, he threw two pitches to start that inning, sixth inning. He had 10 strikeouts, and he had thrown less pitches than he did the start before when we took him out. Two pitch to get that first out. I mean, why did you take him out? What was the logic? If he had a strict 90 pitch limit, then why did he come out at all in that inning? And Paul O'Neill even said it from the booth. And no doubt, probably the yes executives probably got in his ear because then immediately after he questioned it, he went, "Well, that's why I'm just sitting here. I'm not in the dugout." So no doubt that people were pissed, but he was just telling the truth. It made no sense. There's no logic to it because, I mean, first of all, you're lucky enough to get the first out after just two pitches. So what was the logic? Was it a hard and fast 90 or was it a give or take 90? Because if it was a give or take 90, then he should never ever have even come out in that inning. But he got that first out. You're lucky enough, right? You're feeling good. He's feeling good. At least get one more bat. At least. At least see how that next batter goes. I thought it was stupid. The guy was cruising, and it really is. It just shows that Boone doesn't have a feel for the game. He just doesn't. When he manages there, he's always managing by, right, oh, he's on this kind of pitch count here, gotta get him out. Regardless of how things are playing out, it's always like feels like he's got other motives that he needs to fulfill in order to make his bosses happy. That's what it feels like because you don't sit there and take out someone with 10 strikeouts who's thrown less pitches than he did the start before. And it just feels like they're constantly rehabbing Garrett Cole. Let Garrett Cole pitch, right? So I didn't understand it. I don't like it. It was illogical and it completely blew it. However, if you are to make that really dumb decision, why did he allow Weaver all that rope to blow the freaking game? You should be a lot more aware of what's going on. Weaver didn't have it. After his three batters, you had to get him out because he did not have it. He just did not have it. Anyone with a brain, anyone with eyes could see that he did not have it. So I didn't get that. I thought he was far too strict with Garrett Cole and far too relaxed with Weaver. And that just doesn't make any sense.
No, you're absolutely right. That was what I was saying during the game. I didn't necessarily. I see a lot of discourse on Twitter. Of course, there. How can you blame Boone for this? Oh, you blame Boone. You blame Boone for everything. Look, if you have Cole in a pitch count and you stuck to it, that's one thing. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you. You know he's coming back from the injury. He had the fatigue issue. Okay, it is what it is. Personally, I would have let him go a little bit longer or not start him at all in the sixth inning. That's another conversation. But why was Weaver allowed to stay in as long as he was? You hit the nail on the head. He had a huge leash on Weaver, but pulled Cole after two pitches. Okay, you threw two pitches, you got your 90, you're coming out. But Weaver's allowed to give up base runner after base runner after base runner. We see it in the chat. They're bringing up he's on pace for like 90 innings at them, or 80 or something like that. Yeah, 80. Thanks to Joan for bringing that up. And yeah, I know he's been good, but you can tell he didn't have his good stuff. He was getting hit. He was missing the zone. He was giving up walks. And I know the Jazz play was huge because he should have just tagged the base and we would have had an extra out. But Weaver was the guy giving up all that contact. He was the guy that was giving up all those hits. So it's like, why was he allowed to stay in the game as long as he was? And that kind of brings up another conversation is Weaver's like your second, or at least Boone's second most trusted person outside of Clay Holmes. And maybe, I don't know if he trusts Leiter just yet in that regard, but it's really Holmes, Weaver, and Tonkin as like his trust right now. So who do you really go to in that spot? Like he had to go to Weaver, but then you had to try to go through Tonkin to just to try to clean it up, and it really was a mess, and it does go into the conversation about this bullpen. Brian Cashman's in the chat, and so is D-Rod. Good to see D-Rod and Mazza as well. So good to see some familiar people, and the GM of the New York Yankees is here once again. Brian, why didn't
Brian,
you
could
get
you
us
get
some
us
more
a closer?
bullpen arms?
Would you mind getting us a closer? Would that be all right, Brian?
Yeah, why did you get us Enil De Los Santos and not an actual closer, Brian? Answer that question for us. We're putting you on the spot. D-Rod says Cole threw more warm-up pitches in the last inning than he did to batters. Exactly, D-Rod. So, like, it just didn't make sense. Medina, what's up? It was just such a strange thing, and obviously it led to the loss. But luckily, we did win 2 games. We did take the series. It is the defending world champions. I'll take the series win over a series loss any day of the week. So we got the negative out of the way. Let's talk about the positives. The Yankees did have a blowout in the first game of that doubleheader. Carlos Rodon looked fantastic, and the bats looked fantastic. So let's talk positive here the rest of the way through. What are we thinking about that first game?
It was a relaxed game, and that's pretty rare for us these days. It was nice to have a sit back and relaxed game, well pitched, and good offense and some timely hitting. Everybody hit throughout the order. I thought Jazz Chisholm had a really solid series offensively. 5 hits over the course of the series, and he looked good. He was hitting home runs, and Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge, man. He's just on base all the time. It's gotten so good with Aaron Judge that when he gets a single, it's sort of like, what, only a single? Come on. You can't give me a double or a home run? You know what I mean? Everything he does is just like the worst thing he provides is a single now. Because he's always on base, and he's just an absolute machine. Aaron Judge is just, he's just godlike, man. He's godlike. That's what Kevin Durant described Steph Curry as. And I kind of say that about Aaron Judge too. He's godlike. His numbers are godlike. You look at it, he's just number one right across the board. And everything's phenomenal. There's not anything that he's struggling at. His batting average is insane. His home runs are insane. His RBIs are insane. He plays good defense. He's always on base. His OBP is insane. His OPS is insane. Everything is absolutely insane. Number one right across the board. So I don't want to hear anything but Bobby Witt Jr. He's great, but he's second behind Aaron Judge, and a distant second at that. So in terms of the MVP race, you could even make a discussion that Juan Soto would maybe be second. But Aaron Judge is by far the American League MVP, and he's doing things that we've never seen before. And we actually saw it 2 years ago, but he's actually having a better year than he did 2 years ago in many ways. Maybe he won't hit 62 this time, but everything else will be better from what I can see. Because he looks like a better hitter. It's just he's just ridiculous now. He's just become superhuman. And I've never seen anything like it. So if you want positives, he is one of the biggest positives right there. And the rest of the order is rounding into shape. There's some issues, but another thing we need to talk about is Austin Wells. Austin Wells is turning into one of the best young catchers in baseball. Now that we're giving him regular playing time, he's become excellent. He's a very good defender now, and offensively, he's excellent. Did any of us see him becoming like a cleanup hitter, number 5, middle of the order hitter, especially when he started this season kind of struggling? I don't think anyone would have seen that. But this is what he is now. He's just excellent. We're very lucky to have him. And if you look at between him and Volpe, and you would have to say that he's the better player, in my opinion.
Oh, right now for sure. I mean, he had a really really quick turnaround after struggling, but once he got the playing time, Volpe's weird because he was playing so well, and then he got the foot injury. And since he came back from that foot thing, which he only missed a day due to the rain out, but he hasn't looked the same. He struggled. He had a terrible series. I don't think he had a hit, and he struck out a lot.
He's like 0 for 22, 0 for 23.
Yeah, so he was on fire, and then once he had that injury to his foot, which is why I said the other day I wouldn't mind just putting him on the IL for the minimum 10 days. It didn't make sense to me that I know he said he's okay, but clearly his at-bats have taken a complete 180 in a matter of 48 hours. So I'm wondering if there's more to that injury that he may be leading on or the Yankees may be leading on. I hope I'm wrong, but Aaron Judge is absolutely incredible. There's no reason to even have an MVP conversation. It's nothing against Bobby Witt Jr., but it just seems like there's a certain amount of people that are trying to make it a conversation, like that dope Ben Verlander. There's no conversation. It's Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is going to hit 50 home runs again this year. Probably more. He might get to 60. I don't think he will, but he'll get close to 60. Bobby Witt Jr. has him in batting average and a couple other stats, but everything else, they're trying to bring up analytics to prove why Witt's better. But the advanced metrics will show you that Judge is above everybody else. And that's not even a knock on Bobby Witt or Juan Soto or anybody else in the conversation. Judge has separated himself to where they do not want to pitch to him. They're walking him any chance they can because even if the bases are empty, they don't want to deal with the guy. And now you're bringing up singles, right? That's what everyone was complaining about. I was like, well, he's not the best hitter because Tony Gwynn was doing that. Well, Tony Gwynn was a singles hitter. And Tony Gwynn was great. Hall of Famer for obvious reasons. One of the best players you'll ever see. But they're complaining that Judge is not hitting enough singles. Well, now he's hitting singles, so it's like, what else do you want him to do? There's no question that he is the best player in baseball, and he's the MVP right now. Bobby Witt is phenomenal. He's fantastic. He's going to be the face of the Royals for many, 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 many years to come, and he's going to be one of the faces of Major League Baseball. But in the terms of MVP race this year, it's Aaron Judge. If Judge was
He has
having
106 RBIs. We're only a week in August. There's 2 months
right,
to go. Who's he going to get?
exactly.
170?
There's no debate right now. It's Aaron Judge. And another player that's heating up at the right time, and it's been brought up several times here in the chat that's absolutely flying today, Giancarlo Stanton
Ayo.
is heating up. We knew it every single time he comes off the IL. It takes him a couple of weeks because they don't rehab him. And when he starts to catch fire, he goes absolutely berserk. And that home run he hit yesterday, he basically dug it out of the ground and hit a laser. You would thought that was shot out of a cannon. Nope, that was off the bat of Giancarlo Stanton. An absolute bullet into left field that basically won the game for the Yankees. Because if we don't get that hit after they intentionally walk Judge, who knows what happens with the way the bullpen blew it. Giancarlo is heating up at the right time, and now you have him and Wells behind Aaron Judge. Good luck walking him. If those two start to make you pay, you're going to have to pitch to Aaron Judge, and those numbers for Judge are going to go even higher. So this is what we were hoping for, to get protection behind Aaron Judge. We know we have it in front of Aaron Judge. Now if we have those two guys heating up at the right time, this offense is really going to take off. And let's not forget about Jazz. Hopefully Volpe gets going again. Even Torres is swinging a hot bat. He's on like a 9-game hitting
better,
streak.
man.
So
To be fair, Torres has been much, much
the
better.
lineup has been a hell of a lot better. That's why I said it the other day. You said it earlier. We're not too worried about the offense. To me, it's this bullpen. This bullpen has got to figure it out, and soon. I know we're getting some guys back, but Clay Holmes, I know I said let's talk about positives, but we got to talk about yesterday. And there's Tats in the chat. Smack the like button, exactly. Let's talk about Clay Holmes, because he almost did it again yesterday. He tried his damnedest to blow that game yesterday. They put their trust in him. Judge put his trust in him. Cashman put his trust in him. Boone put his trust in him. And this guy is doing everything possible to blow the game, as well as this entire bullpen. I am so afraid for any ground ball that goes to second base in the postseason because it could very well be a catastrophic play that cost us the game. And it almost did yesterday. Even the last out, Gleyber Torres kind of like tripped. And it was like, I was like, Jesus Christ, can it get any more ridiculous than that? But luckily they got out of it. But my goodness, are we going to get a Clay Holmes turnaround like we have in the past, or is he just going to suck the rest of the year?
There is no Clay Holmes turnaround. This is who Clay Holmes is. He needed a half a century worth of pitches just to get 4 outs. That's who he is. That's who he is. The thing is, he does legitimately have a very good slider. He has a good slider. It's a swing and miss slider, right? But it's not a put away pitch because it's the only swing and miss pitch he actually has in his arsenal. He's got a good sinker. Okay, that's fine. He's got a good sinker. But his fastball is eminently hittable, and he's terrified of throwing that fastball because it is eminently hittable. I don't think he actually threw a straight fastball at all during those 50 pitches. Even Paul O'Neill was like trying to work out. He's like, all he's doing is throwing this slider. You need to mix it a little bit, but he wasn't. And as Paul O'Neill was actually really good in the booth yesterday. He said, if you keep throwing the same pitch over and over and over again, you're gonna stop. You're gonna stop getting a feel for that pitch, and that's what started to happen. Once we reached like the 30 mark in his pitch count up to the 40 mark, he didn't really have any feel for his pitch, and it was a lot of pitches were eminently hittable, and they were being fouled off and fouled off and fouled off, and it led to long counts. And then he got the outs. I'll give him that. He got the outs, but he tried his damnedest to blow it again. And this is just who he is, man. Like this is who he is. Cardiac Clay, whatever you want to put it. He doesn't have a put away pitch, and that's a big problem as a closer. It's a big, big problem
Yeah.
because there means that there's going to be a lot of contact and there's going to be a lot of ground balls. There's going to be a lot of pressure on our infield. And even when he does deliver a really good pitch like he did in that final out, Gleyber Torres fell asleep. He was so bored watching Clay Holmes that throw 50 pitches that when the ball did reach him, he didn't know what was going on. He fell over and then almost screwed it up, but he managed to get the out. It was a little bit chaotic, but that's just what happens when the Clay Holmes frickin' pitches. It's chaotic, and the worst possible thing that could happen is if the Yankees extended him next year as a closer.
Which
I mean,
goes into to Joe's
that's
comment here. Did you
whoa.
see that article by the Post?
Whoa!
Yeah,
Who are they hiring these days in the Post? Jesus.
who are they hiring on all these networks is a great question. But if Clay Holmes would be the reason that the Yankees do, or if they had the nerve, I can't even speak. They had the nerve to say that signing Juan Soto would complicate bringing back Clay Holmes. I would rather have Tats's dog closing games right now than
Thank
Clay
you.
Holmes. It's that bad watching him. And I know I've given him praise in the past because he does this every year where he's good, then he's terrible, and then he turns it around. But right now we're not seeing it. I don't want to see him closing games in October, but we kind of have no choice. They won't move away from it. And what I don't get
Sorry, Rob.
is
Did Uncle Tat's puppy type that? I hate that Boone put so much faith in Boone.
maybe. I don't know. maybe.
Tats, did your puppy is your puppy on the keyboard by any chance, brother? All right, Rob, finish your point.
um, I don't know. Tats threw me off there. But no, there's no reason that Clay Holmes should be closing games in October, but we're kind of stuck with it. And I'm just hoping that he can turn it around. But Nosebleed brought it up earlier. He struck out the first two batters and then just like stopped. Just stopped throwing good pitches. And I was like, how is this happening where he has the put away pitch? Puppy's a keyboard warrior, exactly. It was just so weird watching that inning because like I'm like, okay, we got the good Clay and then the bad Clay, and he throws 50 pitches to get 4 outs. I'm like, that's not lockdown closure that you need in October. Unfortunately for us, we don't have somebody that can take that role from him. The closest would be Canely, and I don't trust him. So is it Leiter? He got blasted yesterday, so we got to hope that he can turn it around quickly because he's the guy that we're going to be relying on potentially to be the closer next year. I wish Loizaga was still healthy. He'd be the guy right now that I throw into that role, but unfortunately he's not. Gregory says closer by committee. They can figure it out for the postseason. I don't think they want to do that.
I don't ever agree with closer by committee. I always
Yeah.
feel like that's like it's almost doomed to failure. But the truth is, I don't know who we would turn to as a closer, and
Right.
that's another terrifying thing. There really isn't an automatic choice that I'd be like, oh, he can close. As Rob points out, Leiter looked terrible yesterday, and I think he's more of a multi-inning guy anyway. I don't think he's necessarily a setup guy slash closer. They didn't acquire one. Maybe Hamilton, as Joan points out, maybe Hamilton.
He's got to be healthy though.
But the truth is, Brian Cashman had an okay deadline, but if he really needed to put this team over the top, he needed to get an elite bullpen arm that could close games. He didn't do that, or at bare minimum, get a lefty that can get outs. He didn't do that either, and obviously, I definitely would have made the deal for Flaherty, but it is what it is. But I think the biggest issue is I don't think Boone trusts his bullpen. I don't think he does. I don't know who. I mean, he didn't even have anybody warming up once Clay Holmes reached the 40 pitch point yesterday. He didn't have anybody warming up. It was just like, hey, this is Clay Holmes' deal. He's because we got no one else, and that's pretty frightening. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't know what we're going to do with this bullpen, and I'm very concerned about it. Don't want to be overly negative. Obviously, one series we're joint first, but as I say, it's these small things. If you want to be a serious team in October, you need to have a bullpen, and I don't know who we're going to turn to.
I mean, maybe it gets better when we get guys back, like Nick Birdie. Nick Birdie throws gas and he can get strikeouts. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe it's Ian Hamilton when he's healthy, but he needs to get healthy. These guys need to get back, and we can't thrust them immediately into the closer role because they're coming back from injury. Birdie's been hurt twice this year, and Hamilton's been hurt 2 or 3 times. And going back to last year, Hamilton's been an injury issue, has had an injury issue. So, are these guys really reliable? Scott Efros is healthy. He's been rehabbing for weeks, and he's been in AAA, and he can't figure it out. So I don't know if he's really a reliable arm. Lou Trevino's about to start a rehab assignment, but I wouldn't consider him an option to close right now because he hasn't pitched in like 2 years. So it's really slim pickings. Marinaccio looked fantastic, but every time we start putting our faith in Marinaccio, he seems to have a bad game. So I don't know if he's necessarily reliable, but I don't think it would hurt to give it a shot. My thing is they have so much trust in Clay Holmes, but they were paying Aroldis Chapman like $20 million a year, and they took him out of that closer role whenever he would struggle. And they would give him like a week or two to try to figure it out in the setup role and then put him back, which I never agreed with because he sucked as a closer, but they would take him out of that role when he was struggling. They're not doing that with Clay Holmes. So I wonder what it is about Clay Holmes that they love so much that they didn't like about Chapman, but they were paying Chapman like God's gift to the earth, like he was God's gift to baseball, but Clay
Yeah.
Holmes is making a fraction of what Chapman did, and they won't take him out of that role. But I think you're right. I don't think Boone trusts anybody else. And I don't think he really has anybody that he can trust. Jay Cousins?
Can you blame him?
I don't blame him. That's the thing. Tim Hill, Jay Cousins, Tonkin? I don't really trust these guys. So, like, I don't know. One thing we do know is there's like 4 guys that could potentially be on the chopping block when we get guys healthy. De Los Santos has to be part of that list, but yeah, it's an issue. I'm hoping it figures itself out in the final 2 months when we get guys healthy. But right now, this bullpen cost us a game the other day, and it almost cost us one yesterday. Luckily, the bats were out in full force yesterday to get us that win. Judge, Soto, and Stanton went absolutely nuclear to help us win that game. And it sucked because Stroman pitched well compared to his previous starts. He looked
Yeah.
much better, and the bullpen almost blew it for him. Thankfully, they didn't. But my goodness, the bullpen is the biggest red flag on this team right now.
Because Boone doesn't know whether to stick or twist with it. Because we obviously saw when in the series prior when we had some difficult starts from Norton Esther Cortez. He just kind of let it ride. He had a difficult start from, uh, in general, just the pitching wasn't great the previous series. And he kind of let it ride because what's he going to do? Is he going to use his bullpen early because he doesn't know who he's going to turn to? But if there is some positives, I would say Cousins has one of the best swing and miss pitches in the actual entire bullpen with that slider. His slider is filthy, and we saw that at its best this series. His slider is absolutely filthy. It's a disgusting slider, and it's probably my favorite pitch in this bullpen because it's the most swing and miss worthy, and there's something there. There's something there with Cousins that we can work with. So that's something. Is it worth a closer role? Probably not, but um, he's probably maybe get elevated to setup man with that filthy slider. I like that. But with probably Clay Holmes is even in his best day, which I guess yesterday counts as one of his best days. He still gives you a headache, and you can't rely on that. And as for Roldis Chapman, the thing about Chapman was that even on his worst, he still had a pitch or two or three that's capable of generating swing and miss. He had a 105-mile-an-hour fastball, and he had a slider, and he was working at a splitter as well. That on his day, he was getting a lot of swing and misses, and you could get quick outs, quick innings with him occasionally. He was still freaking disaster in terms of clutch moments. He just couldn't do it, but at least he had that in his arsenal. Clay Holmes doesn't have that. He does never had that. So there's always going to be these problems with him. There's going to be a lot of contact. There's going to be a lot of ground balls. There's going to be a lot of traffic on bases. And with Clay Holmes, if you've got traffic on base and he leaves one pitch over the plate, he won't give up a home run because the home run numbers are down, but he will give up singles and he will give up doubles, and the runs will score. And we can't rely on that. We can't trust that. But I genuinely don't know who we're going to turn to close. I really don't know who we're going to turn to. Clay Holmes should not be our closer under any circumstances to move off it, but they won't because the Yankees are tight. They're locked in on him. They've had Aaron Judge come out defend him, but Aaron Boone go out defend him, but Brian Cashman go out and defend him. And whenever that happens, that means that they are walking down the doors, they're barreling down the hatches, and they are just gonna ride whatever swings and arrows are gonna come towards them. They are gonna ride it up to their home because they made that decision. Just like when they made that crazy trade for IKF and moved him to shortstop, and then gaslit us all that he was the greatest shortstop to ever live, even though the truth was obvious that he wasn't. That's their decision, and they're going to ride it out. And they moved Gleyber Torres to shortstop, and Gleyber Torres was saying, I can't play shortstop. But they kept telling us that he was the best shortstop you're ever going to see, and what you're seeing is reality. So they're going to keep doing this shit. This is what they do. When they make a decision, they're just going to be like, right, this is it. Whether it's right or wrong, we are right in it, and you guys are wrong, and we are right. And when they made the Josh Donaldson trade, same thing. So I think this is very similar. It's like, screw you guys, we're right, you're wrong, and we're going to ride it out.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate truth is that really you can't blame it on Boone because he doesn't have much of an option outside of Clay Holmes. But you could always at least give it a shot because Clay Holmes hasn't necessarily shown you in the past 2 months now that he's reliable. He's had a couple of good moments out there in the past 2 months. Like just the other day, he had a very clean inning. But yesterday, like someone said in the chat, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's literally him. Like there's no middle ground where he needs to have that put away pitch. He needs to have like and he had it early in the year where no one scored against him. I know he had some help from the defense, but he was legitimately the best closer in baseball for like a good month. He had a 0 ERA, and then all of a sudden, as the same thing happened in 2022, he made the All-Star team and just fell off a cliff. I don't know how to explain it with him, but it's happened 3 years in a row now where he looks good and then looks terrible. The thing that he's had in the past is that he does turn it around the final month and into the playoffs. He did that in 2022. He was much better in September and then in October. He was actually really good that postseason. I'm hoping that more of the same happens this time around, but I have to see it to believe it because it has not looked good. The Yankees should have no problem sweeping the White Sox. Well, with the way they've been losing games to teams they should beat, it would not surprise me if we lose one. However, I think it's that time of the day because we had a series.
Dude, we can't lose the game to the White Sox.
We can't lose.
I'm going to go on a protest if we lose one game to this team. White Sox lost 21 games in a row, for Christ's sake. If we lose even one of these games, I'm going on a broadcast protest. You won't see me for 2 weeks.
On that note, it's time for the awards of this Yankees and Rangers series.
What is up, everybody? So, as I say, the chat is absolutely full today on Monday morning, so we do appreciate it. Hit that like button if you haven't done so. So let's start off by hitting that like button for us. Get all that business out of the way. Hit the sub button for people that are watching now or after the fact. Let's get the sub cup. We're going to try and get up to 800. That's our next target. So let's get into this series. Lots to talk about, lots to break down, lots of good things, a lot of bad. But we still won 2 out of 3. So let's start with the MVP. Let's start with the good stuff, the fun stuff, the positive awards. So we're going to go with the MVP. I think it's pretty easy. It's Aaron Judge. Guy was on base all the freaking time. And he is the greatest player on earth. Rob.
Yeah, I got Judge. I was kind of tossing it up. I was like, I want to give Stanton an award, but I do have Stanton for one of these awards. But Aaron Judge had you can't pitch to the guy.
No.
You just can't. He's out of this world. He's him going back to back with Soto is just something that you want to see as many times as possible. It's such a fun sight. Aaron Judge MVP without a doubt.
Nice and easy. Let's look at what the fans have got to say. There is about 10 or 11 votes for Judge. There's 1 vote for Stanton. So we will give Nosebleed a shout out for Stanton. But everybody else is all on the Judge train. Judge is the MVP. However, Big G deserves his kudos too. So we're going to move to the low key.
Well, I do have Tats' award. He did give that to Judge as well. Let's not forget.
That's right. We've got Uncle Tats. I do apologize because, to be honest, his awards are so good that I almost want to have them in their own. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through ours first, right? And then at the end, we're going to go through Uncle Tats' his points one by one.
Okay.
How does that? All right. So anyway, my low key, I'm giving it to Big G. I think Big G deserves it. Big G was great. Soto was insane yesterday, but to be honest, I thought over the series, Stanton was huge. And also, what's even more important is that now we have a little bit of protection for Aaron Judge, which means that, hey, if you're going to pitch around Judge, you got Big G sitting there waiting for you. I ain't disrespecting Big G. You don't want to disrespect Big G, and Big G showed up and showed out. So great to see Big G. Freaking love that guy. So glad that he's come back to the fore. Rob.
I got Giancarlo. He's heating up. He's heating up. He had 2 homers back-to-back days. I know we lost one of the games, but that home run yesterday, that pitch, I can't get that image out of my head of how low he went to get that one out. That was a hell of a swing. Giancarlo Stanton, if he's back to what he was doing before the injury, this lineup's going to cook. And I'm very happy to see it.
Agreed. Now let's look at the fans. Lots of votes for Stanton. A couple of votes for Soto too. There's like 2 or 3 for Soto, but there's about 8 or 9 for Big G. So Big G wins pretty comfortably. And that moves us to the Clutch Award. Let's start with Rob this time.
I've got the big 3 of Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Giancarlo Stanton. They literally won us the game yesterday. I couldn't pick just one because I can pick Stanton for the home run, but then Soto and Judge going back-to-back later in the game gave us those extra runs that the bullpen would have given up to lose us that game. So I'm giving it to all 3 of them because seeing all 3 of them homer in the same game is a sight that we all wanted to see. We all missed because Stanton was out for so long, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that because those 3 are scary. When they're hot, good luck pitching to them.
So your dad agrees with you. Stanton, Judge, and Soto. We got Jones saying Stanton. I got Sean saying Soto. So there's some other ones here. Nosebleed says Judge. So we got lots of different ones here. Stevie B agrees with you, Rob. Soto, Judge, and Stanton. Do you know what? It's hard to argue against that. That maybe all 3 get it. So I'm just going to go with you, Rob. I think that's the best way. It's difficult to differentiate because Aaron Judge was on base all the fucking time. And Stanton came up big. And Soto came up big too. And And I don't know. You also could throw Jazz Chisholm in there. He had some big moments. But we'll go with those three. I think you're right, Rob. We'll go with those three. And as the clutch award winner, let's get into pitching. I'm going to start off with David Garrett Cole. Um, Purely because it's most important. Because he's had some sickness. He's been tired. He's been kind of pitching a little warily uh, over the last couple of weeks. So to come out and look like vintage Garrett Cole, the 10 strikeouts and just dominant. And to be honest, I think if Aaron Boone didn't take him out and there wasn't a 90 pitch mark on him, I think that he could have gone 13, 14 strikeouts uh, into the seventh inning. Easy. In his sleep, he was that good. Um, just so easy with Garrett Cole that game. He just looked phenomenal. So he's getting my pitching award. He was by far the best looking pitcher. Let's go with Rob.
Yeah, I don't want to keep giving out multi-person awards here, but I thought all three were deserving of a shout, but Garrett Cole was better than the rest. So,
Yeah.
and you're right, we need him to be ace Garrett Cole down the stretch, and then we're going to win in October with that. And especially if Rodon's pitching like that, we got the 1-2 punch we were asking for. So it was nice to see Rodon battle through it. It was nice to see Stroman battle through it, but Garrett Cole, 10 strikeouts, he looked like his old self again, and I wish he would have had a higher pitch count, but it is what it is. He looked fantastic, though.
He did. He looked amazing. Let's go with the fans. There's quite a lot of different options here. We've got Nosebleed going Stroman, Mr. Barros going Stroman and Cole, Stevie B saying CR, Carlos Rodon, Sean going Rodon / Cole, Mr. Barros going Rodon, Frederick going Rodon, CVB going Rodon. Damn, it looks like Rodon wins. So the fans have got Rodon as the pitching award winner. Rodon has been great lately. Rob, what are you seeing with Rodon? What's been the biggest difference between him now over the last 3-4 starts as he did over the starts where he was giving like eight runs per game?
He's putting guys away. He's mixing his pitches better, but he's putting guys away. Several times yesterday, he had multiple guys on base, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and he blew them away with 98-mile-an-hour fastballs. Wasn't doing that previous starts, or
Facts.
about a month ago. So his last 4 or 5 starts now since the All-Star break, he's been doing that. He's getting the strikeouts. The walks were a bit up, but like Jones said, it was a tight zone. He was arguing the entire start. But he battled through it because that would have gotten to his head like a month ago. But he looked a hell of a lot better battling through it. And I think he's just got a better mindset out there, and he's trusting his fastball, but he's also trusting his secondary stuff a lot more. He's mixing so much better than he was. It was just straight fastball, fastball, fastball. And I think you're right, Nosebleed. He is tied for. He might either be in first place or he's tied for wins. So,
Wow.
hey, he's doing something right. And lately, he's been earning that paycheck where he wasn't for like a good month and a half.
This is a good comeback year for Rodon,
Yeah.
considering what he did last year to this. And then to have that stretch in the mid-season where you couldn't get anybody out, he was getting blown up, to then completely fix the issue and to be dominant again, says a lot about the guy's character. He's got character. He's got a lot of character. 14 wins for Rodon. He could end up with close to 20. That's crazy. 14 wins. And this is the day and age now where wins and losses don't really necessarily matter for pitchers. They don't really care about the win-loss record. These days in the majors, it's more about the other metrics rather than win-loss record. But to have 14 at this stage is pretty damn good. Because now the emphasis is really to get pitchers out after 5 innings and then to go to the bullpen. But we got 14 wins. It says a lot about what Rodon's doing.
Well, it's 13, but he is in like a 5-way tie with Rodriguez, Skubal, Lugo, and Chris Sale. And right behind him with 12 is Luis Heel.
Hey, my man Luis. It's just so good. So good. He has to win Rookie of the Year. I'm not hearing anything other than that. He has to win Rookie of the Year. So yeah, we got some positives there in the rotation. We got definitely got 3/5 of a rotation there.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good. Okay, let's get to the next award. We're gonna go with Aaron Boone. Let's start with Rob.
We did win the series. That decision in that inning with Cole in that second game, I got to knock off a couple of points. I'm going to give him a 7. We did win the series. That decision though, it was the difference between winning and losing that game, and I think he just did not manage the bullpen well. So I'm giving him a 7.
Your dad gives him an 8 plus.
I don't know what the plus is supposed to
I
be.
don't know plus. It's 8 plus. Joan Boone gets a 5. Jared gives him a 6. Sean gives him a 7. Nosebleed gives him a 7. McGinney gives him a 5. Guess what I'm going to give him? I'm giving him a 4. Because, I'm sorry, he cost us in a game. He cost us the game. Yeah, Weaver did, but to be honest, he should have taken Weaver out much earlier than he did. And it made no logical sense to take Garrett Cole out after 2 pitches. That's just silly. It's almost like a massive bonus that Cole managed to get that out within 2 outs. It's almost like a bonus out that he's now gained. You know, you should gain that. You should gain that respect to go after the next batter. Otherwise, why have him come out in the first place? It just made no freaking sense. It was stupid. And I don't know. Aaron Boone just spent the whole press conference talking about things that are completely irrelevant. Then,
Caitlin Clark.
like Caitlin Clark. I love Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's amazing, right? But why did Aaron Boone spend so long talking about it? I don't care. You just cost us the game. Oh, Caitlin Clark's amazing. I'm just starstruck. Right, cool. But why did you cost us the game, bro? We can talk about Caitlin Clark after you talk about why you took Garrett Cole, our best pitcher, out really freaking early. Jesus God. So he gets the 4 out of 10. You know, at the end of the day, these games matter. We're at the point now where every win, every loss matters. We're in the stretch run between August right through to September. Every game counts. So you can't take off days as a manager. And if you're right there, front and center, the reason why you lost a game, you have to get the criticism. I'll give him the praise when he helps win us a game, but he cost us a game. I have to be honest. So 4 out of 10. But yeah, I think the fans. What would you say? The fans kind of gave him I think generally a 6. I think it's probably
Yeah, I mean, if I was good at math, I can put that together quickly, but I'm not. So 6 seems like a good
yeah.
number.
I would say that. Okay, well let's get to the good stuff. The L. There's some L's to give out, but I'm going to start. My L, Anthony Volpe. Absolutely horrendous. I think he's on an 0 for 23 run. He looks terrible. And truthfully, there's a conversation to be had because if you look at the shortstops I would say in his peer group, there's a ton of young shortstops coming through. And honestly, Anthony Volpe is not near the top in any of them. He's kind of mediocre. He's not there. You look at the other ones like Ellie De La Cruz. You even look at the Angels guy, Nito, who just destroyed us. Nero. You go right down, and Anthony Volpe is he's struggling, man. Yeah, I know he hurt his foot and because it affected a hot streak that he had, but he's had these streaks for a long time. He had it all last year. He when he loses it, he completely loses it for a long, long time. So it makes me concerned because his swing is it when he's got it, he looks great, but when he loses it, he's completely nothing. Great defensively, great attitude, a lot of things to like about the guy, but when you look at his peer group, and I'll maybe bring it up in another podcast because it sounds like I'm hating on the guy. I'm not hating on the guy. It's just that when you look at the people that he's comparing with of the young shortstops in his age range between 23 up to about 26, his numbers aren't there in comparison to all of these guys. So what's it? what's he doing, which is different? What are the Yankees doing, which is different? It's a conversation to be had, but he's a solid ninth hitter. Uh, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what the floor and ceiling is with Anthony Volpe yet. But he's got a great glove, great attitude, and I'm sure he'll work really hard in the offseason to right what his wrongs are. But yeah, I'm not overly impressed this year with Volpe. So he gets the L. Rob.
They've got to figure out where to put him because he's batting ninth, he's batting sixth, he's batting fifth. Like, figure it out for fuck's sake, because we've seen it so many times where he's really good in the bottom of the order and they keep changing it. I said at the start of the season, if he starts off hot, hitting in the ninth spot, don't move him, and they moved him. They put him back in the bottom of the order. He got hot, and they moved him. Just pick a goddamn spot and leave him there, because that seemingly is when he gets hot, is when he's got a spot in the order and he doesn't move out of it, then he gets hot. I love Anthony Volpe. I think he's going to be a lot better than what he is, but the streaks that he does go on is concerning, and I think a lot of it has to do with maybe he gets in his own head because he knows like he's been given the keys to the kingdom. Basically, they passed up on. We're not going to get into that again, but
No.
I think he's got a lot of potential. It's just it sucks seeing him go on these streaks because like 3 days ago he was boiling hot. So hopefully he turns it around. My L is going to the bullpen. It just in general. Bullpen was terrible. This entire series. We didn't. The first game they didn't really need to be used, but the last two games, the bullpen cost us a game and almost cost us one yesterday. And I can't pinpoint one. And I know my dad said De Los Santos, but he didn't pitch the series. You would thought he did with how bad the bullpen was, but bullpen was terrible, absolutely terrible, and that's my biggest concern on this team right now. So I'm giving it to the bullpen.
Yeah, it makes sense. Going back to Volpe, as I say, the peer group of shortstops. I've got some of the names here where he's way behind: Dela Cruz, Witt, Henderson, Nito, Tovar, Abrams, Cruz, all clearly having better offensive seasons than him. So that's why I was kind of pointing out about the peer group. It's just that I'm not quite sure about that. But yeah, you're right about the bullpen. The bullpen completely fell apart, and I don't trust this bullpen at all. Um, but Sean says Volpe has improved overall. He's improved as a shortstop for sure. He's an excellent shortstop. Uh, Contact wise, his batting average has increased, um, but he's still prone to these massive slumps that he shouldn't be having.
Yeah,
So anyway, let's have a look and see who is getting the L with the fans. Jared says Volpe's been horrible. Um, let's see. Jared goes Volpe. Sean goes the bullpen. Jared goes the bullpen. Frederick goes the bullpen. Medina goes the bullpen. So everyone else is going the bullpen. Uh, Rob's dad's going the bullpen. So everyone's going the bullpen with this one. So we'll go with that. Let's go with the Aaron Hicks Award. Start with Rob.
giving it to Clay Holmes. that was that was like you want to have a heart attack every time he pitches. You want to experience what a heart attack feels like. Go watch Clay Holmes pitch in a tight spot. I know he got the save, but my goodness, was he terrible yesterday. Again, I can't explain it. I don't know because, like you said, his stuff. He does. I said it before the season. He's got the best stuff in this bullpen, and yet that's concerning because he pitches like this like every other day. Um, I could give it to Weaver as well because he was atrocious, but Weaver for the most
So
part has
bad.
been good. I'm giving it to Clay Holmes because we need him. If you're going to be our closer and you were given the vote of confidence, you've got to be able to shut down at least one inning against a good lineup. I know the Rangers are struggling, but they've still got a hell of a lineup. And for him to do that, it makes me really concerned what he's going to be doing in October when we face the best of the best.
But do you know what's frightening, Rob? That was actually probably one of his better outings. That
Exactly.
was by far one of his better outings. He actually did pretty well for his standards there. Um, I'm gonna give the L to the bullpen. The Aaron Hicks L to the bullpen. Leiter gave up 3 earned runs. Clay Holmes gave up a run. Canley gave up 2 hits yesterday to put us in trouble. That meant Leiter had to come in, and then Leiter blew it. So that was just in that game alone. And the game we got blown out in, the bullpen was also freaking horrendous. Um, let's have a look and see what happened. This one, we had Weaver give up 5 earned runs, 4 hits. Tonkin give up 3 earned runs, 5 hits. No one in the bullpen did well other than Cousins. So for me, the Aaron Hicks Award goes to the bullpen, and Stevie B agrees. Joan agrees too. It's actually put us in a real difficult spot because I don't want to single out Clay Holmes just on this one, even though honestly I would dance an Irish jig if Clay Holmes was removed from the closer spot. Like I want him so gone, but I can't. I don't know what Aaron Boone's supposed to do with this situation. Like, who's he going to trust?
Canley?
His pitchers until yesterday, he was terrible. So I don't know what's going on. Weaver was one of our best pitchers, and then he blew it too. So we're in a big spot now, and it's a lot of problems with this. And I don't know how we're going to fix it because we don't have a replacement for Clay Holmes. Oh dear God! So we're going to have a lot of these nights right through October. So
buckle up.
Buckle up!
It's crazy that we have the best record in baseball, and we're still we're still concerned about this bullpen because we could have another 10 wins possibly, if not for Clay Holmes himself. Like we could be closer to 90, not 90, 80 wins if it wasn't for Clay Holmes and the defense's gaffes in those ninth innings.
Easy. We actually really should be way clear. But also, if you look at it, with all our losing, we could also, if the Baltimore weren't so bad, they could be 10 clear. We could be 10 clear, or Baltimore could be 10 clear.
We're very lucky.
You look at it.
Very lucky.
Yeah, we are.
So
let's get to Taxes Awards. There's some great ones here.
I got them up here. Let's get through the ones that make sense. Right? Because he had Judge as the MVP. Soto was his low key. Pitching he gave to Stroman. Boone got a 7. Hicks got Volpe got the Hicks Award.
All true.
Okay. This is where it gets interesting. Now, tell me if we watch the same series. He gave his clutch to Luke Weaver. If anyone in the chat, because I know he had to go back to work, so if anyone in the chat wants to take the time to make fun of Uncle Tats, maybe he made a mistake, but he did not correct himself. Luke Weaver was his clutch award. Were we watching the same game?
He gave up 5 runs.
I'm going to hope, just to give him the benefit of the doubt, he meant Cousins. I don't know what Weaver did to earn the clutch award. Blame the puppy. Maybe it was the puppy.
I actually think it is the puppy. I think the puppy is so big because it's like 100 pounds and his head is at least twice the size of Tats. I think it blocked his view of the television.
He meant Cousins. Okay, he corrected himself.
He's pissed now.
We pissed him off, even at fucking work. Oh, it gets better though, Tats. He gave the L to Jazz Chisholm. I know the tag play wasn't the greatest, but could have given that to Weaver. Could have given that to Clay. Could have given that to Volpe. Jazz at least had the good offensive series, and for the most part, he had a good defensive series. I know he had a couple of miscues, but he's a just converted third baseman. Tats, you're in the chat. Explain yourself for that one.
So Jazz had 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 homers, 2 RBIs, and multiple stolen bases. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. What's wrong with him? He also jumped like 15 feet in the air and saved a line drive RBI that was about to go over his head in that game where he didn't block the base. I get it, but in the next play, he redeemed himself and jumped like Spider-Man and made a phenomenal play at third. He's been playing great third base. He's had multiple home runs, multiple stolen bases, multiple RBIs. and that's off him in the 6 or 7 hole. Damn, that's a bad series. 5 hits. Oh, rough.
He brings up here that he needed his defense to be good when it wasn't. And again, I know he had a couple of miscues, but like you said, he redeemed himself on leaping grab, and his bat was there as well. So, look, Tats, this is all in fun. We're not trying to pick on you. You know we love you, but you're not here, so we're gonna take this opportunity to rip you a little bit. It's all in good fun. I just don't agree with the Jazz Chisholm. I thought there were far more people that could have gotten that award instead of Jazz, but it's his award.
Jazz almost got me in a car accident. I was driving and I swerved when I read that you gave Jazz the L and a positive award to Weaver. I was like, what is going on?
But those are the awards for this Texas Rangers series. And before we wrap it up, we do just want to quickly go with our expectations for the Chicago series. Anything less than a sweep is diabolical, right?
Have to sweep. Have to sweep. As I say, I don't know if we lose even one game. That would be the biggest disgrace ever. This White Sox team suck. They lost 21 straight games. They've got a new manager now because they had to fire their manager. They're one of the worst teams to ever play, statistically. So we got to sweep them. Anything less than a sweep is a disgrace, and fire everyone if that's the case. You can't lose even one of these games.
Yeah, what are they, 1-9 in their last 10, I believe, Chicago? They've been horrible, absolutely horrible. I'm trying to figure out when the last game they won. It was against Oakland on Tuesday the 6th, so they've lost 3 in a row after losing 21 straight. So,
holy crap.
If we don't sweep this team...
They've won 2 games out of their last, 3 games out of their last 30, 40. It is just crazy. I've never seen anything like it, man.
Yeah. So hopefully on Wednesday we're talking about a couple of wins in our back pocket, because if we have a loss to this team, it's gonna be an ugly show on Wednesday. And Uncle Tats will be back to try to get some redemption for the ripping that us in the chat have been putting on him today. So look forward to that. But that is going to wrap it up for us here.
Tats is just big shout out to Uncle T. He's our leader. He's done a phenomenal job with us getting this channel rocking and rolling as we're growing to get the sub count up. Getting hundreds of subscribers over the last few weeks. So a big shout out to everyone in my team and Uncle Tats, of course, doing great things. But sometimes he has the odd brain fart, just like he did with those awards. So he has to go on out for fun.
On that note, again, that is going to wrap it up for us here. Thank you to everybody that joined us today in the chat. It was rocking from the very start till the very end, and we hope that you come back on Wednesday to join us as we talk about the first 2 games of this Chicago series. It better be a couple of wins that we're talking about, but that is going to do it for us here. Make sure to do as Uncle Tats always says, wear those pinstripes with pride and play hard.